Let me show you something that millions of Americans are doing right now. The moment their paycheck arrives, they open their banking app and record what happens next. Rent, gone. Bills, gone. Debt, gone. Savings, maybe. What's left? Almost nothing. This is called the payday routine trend. And it didn't go viral because it's entertaining. It went viral because it's honest. According to recent data, over 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. That means most people aren't planning the future. They're surviving the present. And when millions of people independently start filming the exact same financial reality, that's not a coincidence. That's a signal. Let's put real numbers behind this trend. In the United States, over 60% of adults live paycheck to paycheck. Nearly half of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency without debt. Average rent has increased faster than wages for years. Credit card balances are at historic highs. This means the payday routine isn't a habit, it's a necessity. For many people, payday isn't relief, it's a reset. Money comes in and immediately disappears into obligations created long before today. That's why these videos feel so similar. Different people, same outcome. The trend isn't about budgeting mistakes. It's about a shrinking margin between income and survival. So why did people start filming their payday at all? Not for attention, not for advice, and not because it's trendy. They started filming because silence stopped working. For years, people thought they were failing alone, that everyone else was doing fine, that the problem was personal. But when you watch someone else's payday routine, and it looks exactly like yours, something shifts. You don't feel lazy anymore. You don't feel irresponsible. You feel seen. Psychologically, this is called social validation. When people realize their struggle isn't unique, shame turns into clarity. These videos are quiet confessions. They're not saying, look at me. They're saying, is anyone else living like this? And millions of people answered yes. Here's the part most people miss. The system didn't fail, it adapted. Living paycheck to paycheck wasn't supposed to be permanent, but it became normalized. Why? Because a population under constant financial pressure is predictable. When most of your income is already assigned, rent, debt, bills, you don't plan long term, you don't take risks. You don't challenge structures, you focus on getting through the month. From the system's perspective, this is efficient. High participation, low resistance, constant consumption. Payday routines don't shock the system. They confirm it's working as designed. Now, a question for you, honestly. If your paycheck barely covers survival, how much energy do you really have left to question the rules? Here's the trap most people fall into. They think the solution is simple. If I just make more money, everything will be fine. But for millions of people, income goes up and nothing changes. Why? Because expenses scale faster than income. When you earn more, rent adjusts, lifestyle expectations rise, insurance costs increase, debt expands to match the new income. The system doesn't reward extra income with freedom, it absorbs it. This is why people with higher salaries still live paycheck to paycheck. More money doesn't break the cycle. It often just makes the cycle more expensive. And here's the uncomfortable question for you. If every raise disappears just as fast as it arrives, is the problem really your income or the structure around it? Here's the part nobody prepares you for. When your income increases, your mindset doesn't become freer. It often becomes more fragile. Why? Because higher income raises the cost of mistakes. When you earn little, you're used to instability. You already expect uncertainty. You adapt quickly. But when income grows, people start building their life around it. Bigger rent, longer contracts, monthly obligations that assume the income will never stop. Psychologically, this creates fear, not of poverty, but of losing what you've just built. So instead of feeling confident, people become more cautious. They avoid risks. They avoid change. They cling to stability. This is why higher income doesn't lead to bold decisions. It often leads to defensive thinking. You're no longer asking, how do I grow? You're asking, how do I not lose this? And that mindset quietly keeps people trapped. Now pause for a second and ask yourself, has earning more ever made you feel safer or just given you more to protect? Here's why people almost always blame themselves. Because the system teaches them to. From the beginning, the message is simple. If you're struggling, you didn't try hard enough. If you're behind, you made bad choices. If you're stressed, you mismanaged your money. This creates a powerful illusion that success is purely personal and failure is purely your fault. Psychologically, this is comforting. Blaming yourself feels better than accepting that the rules might be stacked against you, because if it's your fault, then maybe you can fix it. But if it's the system, then the problem feels bigger than you. So people internalize pressure. They optimize themselves instead of questioning structures. They look for productivity hacks, not structural explanations. And that's why payday routines are whispered, not shouted. People show the numbers, but apologize for them. Now let me ask you directly, when money feels tight, do you immediately look at what you did wrong? Or do you ever question the rules you're playing by? Exiting this mindset doesn't start with money. It starts with awareness. The first shift is simple, but uncomfortable. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what incentives am I inside of? This doesn't mean avoiding responsibility. It means placing it correctly. When you see the structure, you stop personalizing pressure. You stop treating exhaustion as failure. You stop assuming that struggle means incompetence. The second shift is separating survival decisions from strategic decisions. Most people make every choice under survival stress. That's not thinking, that's reacting. Exiting the mindset means slowing down the reaction loop, creating distance between income and identity, understanding that money problems are often systemic patterns, not character flaws. And the third shift is this: you stop trying to win the system and start trying to understand it. Because once you understand the rules, you stop blaming yourself for not winning a game that was never designed to be fair. Now ask yourself, what decisions would you make differently if you stopped seeing your situation as a personal failure and started seeing it as a predictable outcome? So what does all of this mean moving forward? It means the payday routine isn't a phase, it's a preview. When a system normalizes survival level living, it quietly reshapes expectations. People stop expecting stability, they stop expecting savings, they stop expecting progress, and when expectations shrink, pressure becomes invisible. This is why trends like payday routines matter. They're not just content, they're signals. Signals that a large part of the population is adjusting downward, not because they want to, but because they feel they have no alternative. Here's the critical part: systems don't collapse when people are angry, they collapse when people adapt. So ask yourself, if this becomes normal for millions, what kind of future does that create? There's one more thing happening beneath all of this, and it's easy to miss. People aren't just adapting financially, they're adapting emotionally. They stop being surprised, they stop being shocked, they stop asking when it will get better. And that's the quiet breaking point. Not when people are angry, not when they protest, but when they lower expectations so much that hardship feels normal. At that point, the system doesn't need force, it doesn't need explanations, it runs on habit. This is why payday routines feel calm, not dramatic. No outrage, no panic, just resignation. And here's the question that matters: when survival becomes routine, how do you even recognize that something is wrong? There's one illusion that keeps all of this in place: the illusion of choice. People are told they're free because they can choose where to work, what to buy, how to budget. But most choices happen after the biggest decisions are already locked in: housing, healthcare, education, debt. By the time your paycheck arrives, your freedom has already been spent. This is why payday routines feel strangely controlled. Different people, same structure, same outcomes. Choice exists, but inside very narrow boundaries. And when choice is narrow enough, people stop asking why the boundaries exist. They just learn how to live inside them. Here's the uncomfortable question: if most of your financial life is pre-decided, how free is the choice you're making? So let's put all of this together. The payday routine trend isn't about budgeting, it's not about discipline, and it's definitely not about people failing. It's a mirror showing how modern systems quietly reshape behavior, expectations, and identity. People aren't reckless with money, they're constrained by structure. They aren't lazy, they're exhausted. They aren't bad at finances, they're operating inside a system where survival is normalized and progress is delayed. That's why filming Payday feels necessary. It's proof that what people feel internally is real. And once you see this, something changes. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? You start asking, what environment am I responding to? That shift matters, because systems stay powerful when people internalize pressure, and they weaken when people understand patterns. This video isn't telling you to rebel, it's not telling you to quit your job, and it's not offering shortcuts. It's offering clarity. Clarity about why so many people feel stuck, even when they're doing everything they were told to do. And now, the most important question is yours to answer. If this system shapes behavior, how do you choose to respond to it consciously, not automatically? If this perspective helped you think differently, if it gave language to something you felt but couldn't explain, then this channel is for you. Subscribe if you want calm, honest breakdowns of money, systems, and psychology. Without hype, without fear, and without pretending the rules are fair. Because understanding doesn't fix everything, but it gives you something most people never get: awareness.